Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna. Let me start. Om Ganatimantasya Gyanandanashakaya Chakshurumedam Yanatasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavesho Namo Namaha Tam Srimad Krishna Chaitanya Devam Bande Guru Yasyana Kampaya Shvabimahavin Sandaret Sukham. Respectful obeisances to Jagat Guru Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by whose grace a small dog can cross a big ocean very happily and easily. Of course, in this ocean, we are not planning to cross. We are planning to also not to drown, but to swim as a shark. As a shark or a whale, if you don't like. We have make a fountain of the nectar. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay. The southern side of the nectar of the ocean of Bhakti Rasa Amrita. So we are studying the ingredients of rasa. How many ingredients do you have? How many waves? 5. 5 ingredients, 5 waves. Okay. And in these ingredients, we are on the first wave, Vibhava. And Vibhava, which parts does Vibhava have?
Vishaya, Ashraya.
Vishaya and Ashraya, which both of them compose, they are Alambana. These two are Alambana. So this is like Vishaya and Ashraya, this is who is the reservoir and who is the object. And then this together, this combination is Alambana, the basis, support, and again,
Udipana.
Udipana is part of Vishaya. So in which chapter was it? 26, Srila Prabhupada says that you can analyze Vishaya separately as Krishna, or you can analyze that the object is Krishna, naturally, or you can analyze that Udipanas are part of the Vishaya part, a detail of the Vishaya, the object, which creates the flow. It creates the flow. Okay. And there are 5 mukhya rasas, 5 primary rasas. So, if you remember, our thesis is that we are trying to change the flow, reverse the flow. Now, I'm pulling the blanket over myself, trying to take all the rasa onto me. And sadhana means that I am trying to give rasa to Krishna. So we do have a little problem. We don't have probably much rasa ourselves, but no worries. We have a big store of rasa.
We have Jadarasa.
Jadarasa. Well, that doesn't help. Yeah, material rasa. We are trying to enroll as servants of the goddess of this ocean, who controls all this ocean, and she will direct a little bit of this flow through our heart. Then we are okay. And we have fortunately been given also all the ingredients by Srila Rupa Goswami, and we are reading about the 64 qualities of Shri Krishna. It is chapter 21 and then all the way to 23, 24. So different descriptions of Krishna's personality. So reading about Krishna's qualities, so these qualities are Krishna, but also these Vishaya, and these qualities also are Uddipanas. They are what lights up, literally, or stimulates or triggers, hopefully triggers a little bit of that rasa, or a lot of rasa flow in our heart, or bhava. That part of the bhava. So we will read all the qualities Krishna allows, because why? Because I like them.
Because it will help us develop ruchi.
Hopefully, yes. So this is one of the sweetest parts of the Nectar of Devotion. It's a very nectarian part. And every time you read about Krishna's qualities, it's a rather touching experience. So we have reached quality number 13, genius. Because we were discussing this quality, genius. And we mentioned that there is another explanation, another translation of this quality. What's the other translation? Anybody remembers? You suggested the word. Who suggested? You suggested.
Witty.
Witty, yes, witty. Yes. Witty, duchovity. Yes, witty. Wittiness. So so pratibha anvita. He is endowed with wittiness. The next one is artistic or vidagda. So Prabhupada is calling this vidagda. Vidagda means clever, inventive, but here it's explained as somebody who is able to wonderfully compose songs, dance, speak funny words, play the flute, as though he had defeated all kinds of players at the chessboard. Hare Krishna. He lives wonderfully at the topmost height of artistic craftsmanship. Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada's language is very sweet here. He's still trying to translate very complicated topics into a new language, and so he's experimenting with different words. He also hardly has any editors yet that really can help. So it's also a very touching, very sweet language. So 15 is clever, which in a sense...
Can I ask this craftsmanship? Can you give some example for what Krishna needs that? Craftsman.
Example of what?
Craftsmanship.
For Krishna what? I can't hear.
Craftsmanship, or how did you say?
Craftsmanship. So example of what?
When Krishna
Of that. Krishna is an expert in that. So why does he need it? Can you give some example?
Yeah, like here you can see in the text itself. Actually, I'm not sharing. I didn't start sharing the screen. Yeah, I should start sharing this. Sorry. Let me It's right here in the Nectar of Devotion, composing songs, dancing. So even how Krishna dresses for dancing, he's dressing as an expert dancer, not a bar, the best of the dancers. Not just dancer, not just actor, but the Natabara means the chosen, the best of the best of dancers. So if you have seen dancers, you may have noticed that they are dressed in a very bright way. Usually they have very bright mascara, they have very bright dress, they have some colors on their face, cosmetics and everything, because usually they're supposed to be on the stage and they're supposed to demonstrate, manifest different bhavas or emotions, and it has to be visible from afar. So that's very artistic, that's Krishna's artistic craftsmanship. Even when he comes to Kamsa's wrestling arena, he comes with a garland and also smiling and yes, very artistically decorated with strategically placed blood drops from Kuvalayapida.
There you go.
Kamsa's battle tank. Krishna, Kamsa's plan B, or whatever it was, plan C, and he defeated. Of course, Krishna in Gopal Champa says that, well, he just was rushing at me, and his task was stuck in the ground, and he couldn't pull it out, and it broke off, and he bled out to death. So what can I do?
Poor elephant.
Poor elephant. Anyway, so he looked in such a way that everybody was attracted to him. All 12 rasas were activated.
What about an example where they remove the jewelry and then they put minerals and twigs and leaves?
Yes, and they are decorated with natural colors in the forest. Yes. Another one is Karnikara. He is putting a Karnikara yellow flower, one flower behind sometimes his left ear, sometimes behind his right ear, depending which ear is facing the gopis. But one flower, not two flowers. Probably one flower is probably more artistic. I don't know why not put two.
Isn't it? They say, and no, this is true, but I heard that he shows the way he's going to go, so that all the gopis know which side his flower is on.
That's not a secret.
That's so
There we go. Okay, clever.
There's a nice definition about the symbol about this quality. One whose mind is absorbed in the 64 arts, such as dancing and singing, and in various amusements, is called Vigragda or ice tip.
Or
Ice tip.
Estet?
Ice tip.
Yeah, estet.
Ice tip. Ice tip.
Okay, estet. Interesting.
Ice tip.
Estet, yes.
Yes.
Nice. So, in general, it's interesting. So, Vidagdha, it's a somewhat puzzling quality, because we have Vidagdha Madhava, Krishna as Vidagdha, one of the dramas by Rupa Goswami, and he's meaning that he's very expert in his pastimes with the gopis. But Prabhupada translates here as artistic, which I think is a very apt. I mean, when we know that there are 64 arts, maybe that's why he learned all the 64 arts in just one day each when he was in the school. Sometimes we think that this is all he learned in the school, but this was his extracurricular after the class. What they were learning were the Vedas, and these 64 arts was, you know, 1 extra hour in the evening, and they learned within 1 day, 1 hour, all 1 complete art, because they probably already were masters of this art in Vrindavan, and the personification of all these arts is Srimati Radharani. And these arts are actually part of the Kama Shastra. Kama Shastra for the Kshatriyas and for how to enjoy life, actually. That's for how to enjoy life. That's the meaning of art. It's not just some discipline that is studied in the university so that a few critics, opera critics, could make a little salary writing something that nobody's reading. No, it was to enjoy life, for sure. So, no, in reality, not something imagined. Okay. Now, 15 is clever, and in Sanskrit this is chatura. Chatura. So, Prabhupada says, a person who can perform various types of work at once is called clever. And the example is from a Gopi's song that, my dear friends, just see the clever activities of Shri Krishna. So he has composed nice songs and he is singing the songs, and the cows are happy, and by the movement of his eyes he's pleasing the Gopis, and at the same time he's fighting with demons like Arishtasura. So he is interacting with different I don't know why it's sitting, interacting with different entities in different ways, thoroughly enjoying the situation. So he's so these are very connected. So clever, genius, expert, but certain subtle nuances are there. How different shades of beauty of Krishna are there.
But it becomes a little bit more different if you read in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I mean, the distinction between these qualities becomes more obvious.
They are distinct. Yes.
Like here, for clever person, it says, is one who brings about a solution to many problems simultaneously.
Very
and
nice.
for expert, it says a person who does very quickly what is difficult to do.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Then it gives like more kind of, makes each quality different from another, this, at least for me, this explanation from
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for reading. Thank you for bringing this up, yes. And they are also qualities that are common with the living entities. So, I don't know, maybe the temple presidents and Sankirtan leaders can assign their counselees to develop a certain quality, like being clever, expert, and artistic, until the next Prabhupada marathon. They can use that in Krishna service, in the Harinams and book distribution. That's a joke. Okay. 16, expert. Okay. Prabhupada writes, a person who can quickly execute a very difficult task is called expert. And we have a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam about how Krishna cut to pieces all the different weapons used by different fighters. That's really expert. Of course, in Sanskrit this will be daksha. Some other translation is dexterous. Dexterous, daksha, that's how you get your desna. Yeah, dexterous. Dexterous literally means right-handed. Yeah.
So why does this become expert, dexterous?
I mean, it's, you know, there is an English expression, I'm all thumbs, meaning awkward, like working with your non-dominant hand. Yeah. Right? But if you're working with your dominant hand, you're good. You know,
so you have two left hands.
Yeah, or you have two left hands. Yes. Yeah. Reminds me of a terrible joke about a person who went to a shop and found a pair of shoes, saying that there was a pair, two left shoes of different sizes, but the most horrible thing was that they fit well. This person's feet. On my feet. Have two left hands, and some people have two left something else. Now, this one is a quality that is beloved of many devotees, grateful. Krishna is grateful, Kritagya. You may remember from the first canto, it's also included in intelligence. So being intelligent is also being grateful. In Sanskrit, grateful includes also gya, meaning that it's some kind of knowledge. So in English, in most languages, we have something that includes some kind of knowledge, like acknowledgement. You acknowledge.
So what is this krita?
Krita, what has been done. You know what has been done. You acknowledge what has been done. So we have the example of Draupadi, very nice example of Draupadi, who gave Krishna her sari. Apparently this was her wedding sari, which was supposed to be her lucky sari, but she never hesitated to tear a big part of that sari and to bind Krishna's cut finger, for which apparently she was scolded by her servant, maidservant. You have torn your lucky sari. Good we don't have our lucky dhoti or something. I hope we don't joke. And Krishna then never forgot it. So she also called He Govinda. And you can see very sweetly Srila Prabhupada writes here that Mahamantra is also a call to Krishna. So anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and his energy, we can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. Hare Krishna. Congratulations. And strangely enough, or interestingly enough, Jambavan is another example of a person to whom Krishna was grateful. How did Krishna show his gratitude to Jambavan? Married his daughter. Married his daughter. He became Krishna's, Jambavan's son-in-law. Okay, now 18 is determined. Sudridha vrata. So his vratas, his vows are very, very firm. Again, it is one of the qualities that Acharyas glorify in Krishna, saying that Krishna never breaks his vow to protect and help his devotees. So again, for devotees, this is something that's very dear to devotees' heart, always determined or very steady, very fixed in the vow. So Krishna is would rather protect his devotees' vows even than his own vows, as is illustrated in the story with Bhishmadev. Then Deshakala Patra, Deshakala Supatra Gya is an expert judge of time and circumstances. So there are some stories that Suhodram Maharaj liked to quote about about some foolish disciples who were wasting everything and breaking everything when something was falling, when one of the disciples was falling into the river. They cut him in two and threw one half into the water, quoting some wisdom that better to save half than to lose the whole thing. But by cutting the person, they did lose the whole thing anyway. So many examples of this are there, but Krishna is actually an expert judge of time and circumstances. So the example here was how Krishna didn't waste the Rasa Purnima for the Rasa dance. But can you come up with some other example of how Krishna is an expert judge of time and circumstances? Can you think of something else?
Maybe when he came to Jayadratha, he understood that they should. His tactic was that they should dress themselves as brahmanas and ask charity, because he knew that he was.
Jarasandha, yes. Okay.
Yes, he was so charitable. So at the end, it worked.
Okay, thank you. Somebody else can think of an example how Krishna is an expert judge of times and circumstances? Every one of you should come up with something.
When he took Rukmini, went to save her.
Okay. During her Swayamvar.
Yeah, and before, when she was in.
Just on the way.
Yeah.
That shows how she was a good judge. That was her idea. But she's his Shakti. Okay, we can maybe.
When Brahma stole the calves.
Brahma stole the calves. Okay.
He understood. Okay, this is Brahma. Okay, let's play.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. He made a practical joke on Brahma, yeah, by widening the window of the Yoga Maya, showing him several different aspects. Okay. Something else?
Or when he convinced his father about Govardhan.
Convinced about Govardhan. Okay. So he judged. Okay. We
He
can.
knew what to say.
He knew what to say. Okay. Killed
He
Shishupal.
waited for
He waited.
And he killed also Karna. When Arjuna killed Karna, he said, what was the right time to kill him?
So he showed when to kill Karna. And
He took
Bhishma also.
Bhishma also. Okay. Yes.
when he took Satyabhama with him, when he was going to take this, give back these earrings, and then he fought there and killed Bhaumasura, I think, huh?
Yeah, Bhaumasura, good.
I think there is one example that Balaram, he was under Yoga Maya for 1 year. So it was arranged by Krishna because he didn't want Balaram to suffer from separation from his friends. So maybe that example also, Krishna is arranging things according to time, place, circumstance.
Time, place, and circumstances. It's funny how usually whenever Balaram has a birthday, something far out happens. Yeah, that was 1 year. Oh, yeah, one time that Balaram had his birthday. Yes?
Also the time when Arjuna came to Duryodhana for Bhishma's arrows.
Yes, he gave the intelligence to Arjuna. Okay, go ask for the arrows. So a perfect judge of the Patra, the person, Duryodhana, that Duryodhana would be obliged to fulfill any request. He judged when, and he judged what, that you ask for these arrows, and then Bhishmadev said, well, I've invested these arrows with all my power. Now what will I do? Yeah, that's very expert, yes.
Or maybe when Bhishma was about to be killed.
And when he said to put Shikanti into
Yeah, or when Jayadratha was also, he was telling.
Oh, he put the chakra in the sky.
So how does it illustrate that he knows the time and place? And
He knows all the underlying principles that are being played there, and then he puts them in such a way that they play out each other. The thing happens there.
I thought that the whole Kurukshetra war and the whole Bhagavad Gita illustrates how, if not the whole Mahabharata, because the whole Mahabharata illustrates 2 points. On one hand, you can see Mahabharata illustrates the dogmatic following of religion. Also the 10th canto. Some people follow religion dogmatically, just some dogma. And you can see Bhishma follows the dogma, and he needs to lie on the bed of arrows, bleeding to becoming blood, how do you say, blood empty, blood ridden, ridden of all blood that was contaminated, yeah? Because he didn't stop Draupadi's disrobing. So even though he found some rule which sort of justified his being silent at Draupadi's disrobing, but you can see it illustrates how just following some dogma doesn't make you free from reactions. And Krishna teaches through the Mahabharata, or when he also illustrated how the Brahmanas, Yagika Brahmanas, were wrong, following some obscure rule, and their wives were correct by breaking some rules and going to serve Krishna. So Krishna is showing the proper way to judge the time and circumstances through the Leela and through his instructions and through the whole Kurukshetra war.
Can I mention something? I think it's interesting here that time can stretch and become shorter, and also place, like the holy dam is actually like a lotus, which can open and close, and then the places, different places come close and far. So Krishna goes from one place to another, which is 50 kilometers, for example, in just few minutes, 5 minutes. He's there.
Yes.
He's about time and place and circumstances.
So if you were God, I'm sure you would use this feature of space and time. You could probably, if you used it, you could go to North Slovenia for a Harinam in just 5 minutes and come back in 5 minutes. Cele or Maribor. And be back. Okay. So, Desha Kala Supatragya. Vinata Mataji, you have another comment?
Yes, I just wanted to defend Bhishma because he is one of my favorite heroes. What you said, this is one rendition, but I also heard that another explanation, which is like more in accordance of Bhishma being a pure devotee of the Lord, which is seen at the end, how he leaves the world. And that is that there was an occasion before this whole thing happened with Draupadi and everything, where Bhishma promised to Krishna. Krishna told him that in the future, in a big assembly, you will be asked to speak, but promise me not to do it. So when he was asked to say something, he said, I can't say, meaning that I am not allowed to speak. And it looked like as if he didn't know the answer, what was Dharma in that situation of this assembly. So I like that explanation because he dies as a hero, as a devotee. And this explanation before makes him look like a sold out materialistic person or something.
Yeah, duly noted. Thank you for protecting our Mahajan, Bhishma. Krishna also gives him credit after the war. Still, on the Mahabharata level, he is punished. So you can know what's happening behind the curtain that Krishna is asking. So he's a pure devotee, but he does illustrate by his actions and by his destiny that follow the whole Mahabharata. You can see that this is why it puzzles so many devotees. Why Mahabharata doesn't show a clear path for following goodness, how to be good. But then it would become a children's comics book. It would be too simple. Yes? And the purpose of and religion cannot be determined without using this quality, judging the time, the circumstances, and the place, and the candidates and participants. So the Mahabharata is teaching the necessity to be deeper than just following a dogma. Okay, good, thank you. Now 20. In Sanskrit, this is Shastra Chakshu, one of our aims of Shastric study, Shastra Chakshu, seer by the authority of the scriptures. And Prabhupada says that seeing things through the naked eye is not actually seeing, so we need Shastra to understand what we see. But also, here is a joke, apparently from the Bhagavatam, although I can't remember this verse. Maybe we should find the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Jokingly says that Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, is known as the seer through the Shastras. In order to establish his authority, however, he is now engaged in seeing the gopis, whereby the gopis are becoming maddened. Hare Krishna. An interesting, important detail is that the gopis are also personified Shastra. So when he looks at the gopis, he is Shastra Chakshu. He has Shastra in his eyes. Fortunately for everybody. Yes. This is, let me see if I can find Sudridavrata. And it's number 20, Shastra Chakshu. Abhut Kamsa Ripor Netram. Doesn't say which verse it is. Okay. So you remember that you had 4 categories to find in these qualities. What 4 categories we were supposed to find among these qualities?
Friend, hero.
A friend. What attracts you in your friend? What attracts you in your hero from even outside of, before devotional service or outside devotional life? 2 more?
In Krishna.
In Krishna, yes. Logical. And 1 more?
For me.
For me, yes. What do I want to focus upon as we practice devotional service? Good. Okay, so 21, pure. Prabhupada says that we have 2 types, and one type is that not only you are pure, but you are making others pure. So as Prabhupada sweetly translates in the Ishopanishad, Krishna is prophylactic and antiseptic. So you can say that we are worshipping prophylactic and antiseptic God. And we can show a book to prove it. Okay. Self-control. That is Shuchi, this is Vashi, self-controlled. And you can see we have the ideal of the family life. Every one of the thousands of wives of Krishna was thinking that Krishna was captivated by her feminine beauty, but this was not the case. So combining these 2 opposites is the art that Krishna is able to show in perfection. 23, steadfast. A person who continues to work until his desired goal is achieved is called steadfast. So in Sanskrit this is sthira. Another translation is persistent, So if you're persistent, you can also be more peaceful. If you're persistent, it's also one of the, if you practice this, it becomes anubhav. It becomes the ecstatic action activated by some relationship with Krishna. Plus, if we manifest this quality, then, especially in devotional life, we can maybe be successful. So in this chapter we have 30 qualities, and we are on quality 23. Any questions here? Somebody else has questions or comments?
There was one mention about this Krishna dressing himself and as if he has won game of dice. So I didn't understand, and maybe you said that, I lost it. What's this meaning of that? What was the meaning of that? Why would Krishna dress himself beautifully after winning the game of dice? Something like that.
It's not about the dress. It means that he was showing himself as a person who has won in a game of chess with many people.
Like showing off.
Not showing off, but showing the feeling, the mood of a very clever, because winning in dice is one of those 64 arts. So he was super expert in winning in chess, and so he was also looking like some winner in chess.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Roberto?
You spoke about gratitude as some acknowledgement of something in another person, something valuable. No, there is also emotional part to gratitude, and usually we react with gratitude when we cannot repay. When there was on the other side, when something did something invested so much effort or sacrifice, that we react with gratitude. Now my question is gratitude towards Krishna, what he sacrifices. I mean, if that is the correct, I mean, I'm sorry for the challenging tone. I stumbled upon this concept because I brought something about gratitude recently, and I asked myself the question, and I came up with an answer, but I'm interested if you can comment, or if maybe this is not the correct definition, and maybe Krishna sacrifices something, but I don't know, neither know, so you can comment.
So what does Krishna sacrifice?
Yes.
If we start saying what Krishna sacrifices for each one of us, we need many hours, many days, many months, many years, if not more. What do you think? What does Krishna sacrifice for your sake? Let's ask. Has he sacrificed something for your sake? What would you say?
I mean, he certainly is very bit.
Yes, his good name.
That's sharing his trademark. It's okay, Hare Krishna. What else? What would you say?
His bodily effulgence.
Bodily effulgence. Okay.
Justice.
Justice?
Yes, because he is giving us what we don't deserve.
Okay, he's giving us more than we deserve, yes. What else? What was your idea?
I mean, he's certainly very individually dealing with us personally. So, I mean, I don't know if he sacrifices because he's God, what he sacrifices, but he's investing something a lot. I mean, nobody deals in such a way with us.
Okay, it's your homework. You're supposed, as soon as I ask you, everyone's, because I don't see, as soon as I ask, what has Krishna sacrificed for you, I'm waiting for everyone to say, I have 5, 10, 20, but I immediately can say, I don't see this, what's wrong with you? Why can't you immediately list, you're supposed to be unstoppable, you're supposed to say so many things immediately.
No, shyness.
A lot of shyness.
What discuss about me, I'm thinking about this for 2 days. not devotee.
The main thing, he is treating each and every one as a respected individual. He is creating the whole material world, and he allows us to do all our stupid stuff. He makes a safe environment for our stupid stuff, and he lets, okay, you want to go, please don't go. It's not a good idea. Look, I'm your father. I wish you good. Don't go. No, I won't. Okay.
So this is also his sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice.
That's free will.
Free will, yes, it's a big sacrifice. Like from the point of view, I mean, this is why teenagers rebel, because they want to prove I'm an individual, right? And this is why they doubt love and affection of their parents, because they see they don't allow them any free will. So Krishna allows you free will, and he makes a very safe environment. He gives you this space suit. I think it's us, but anyway, it's a space suit which is very safe. As a soul, you cannot be cut, burned, or anything. And he lets you play. And he lets you play for millions of times. He gives you millions of lives. Not like in a game that you have only... How many do they have? 9 lives, 2 lives? You have infinite lives. He lets you play. You can come back anytime. He gives you sun. He gives you flowers. He gives you devotees. He gives you books. He gives you japa. He gives you parampara. He gives you many paramparas. He gives you so many nice things. Bhakti, you had something?
No, I was just thinking he's sacrificing his. Well, you know, after I make some crazy decision, he has to clean this mess.
Clean up.
He has to accept.
He has to accept. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So it's amazing. You're still in the summertime. So it's the Gayatri time, and here in Central Europe, and let's have a break for 10 minutes, and then we'll continue after the break. Hare Krishna.
I was thinking of Maharaj and so that some stupid stuff.
Hare Krishna,
It's time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna, let's continue. So 24. Forbearing, Prabhupada gives the definition here. A person who tolerates all kinds of troubles, even though such troubles appear to be unbearable, is called forbearing. So the example here is when Krishna went to bring wood from the forest to the spiritual master. So this is 24.
23, what did we say about
23, steadfast, work until you get the goal. Never give up. Never give up. Stira, and this is so in Sanskrit 24 is danta. So usually danta, so another translation is tolerant, and danta actually means one who is self-controlled.
One from it says patient.
Patient, that's the translation of the English forbearing. But if you translate from the Sanskrit, danta means dhamma, one who is controlled. So the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu example is Guru Vasa, Guru Vasa question. He was self-controlled for the sake of his spiritual master. And as a result, we know that Sandipani Muni has blessed him to never forget anything he learned, and also that his words will be fresh forever, which we still study in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Okay, Danta, tolerant. 25, Kshama Shila. So that's almost the same in our translations. Kshama means forgiveness. So 25 is forgiving. A person who can tolerate all kinds of offenses from the opposite party is known to be forgiving. Well, maybe you can tolerate a few kinds of offenses, but not all kinds of offenses. How many kinds of offenses are you ready to tolerate?
First.
So the Shishupalavada is here brought up that Krishna counted 100 offenses from Shishupala and forgave at least 100, although there are some other descriptions. He was counting and counting and counting, so he was forgiving as much as was possible and a little more also. So this is in fact a definition of a devotee, tiraskrita vipralada prakshipta hatapi. That a devotee, not just that he is forgiving, masyatat pratikurvanti tat bhaktas devotee. This is 1:1848, favorite verse from Niranjana, for Niranjana Maharaj. that Niranjana Maharaj quotes a lot, that the devotee, even when he is insulted, neglected, cheated, kicked out, beaten or killed, is not trying to take revenge even if he can. So if you cannot, okay, then I'll forgive. But if you can, how often will you forgive?
Does that mean that the devotee is more forgiving than Krishna? Because from Chaitanya Lila, Jagai Madhya story, we see that Chaitanya had some condition to forgive. But the devotee is more forgiving, it seems.
Yeah, certainly. Devotee is more forgiving. Devotees, our only hope is devotees. Because that's how Krishna decided to spread his mercy, through devotees. Okay.
Would you please repeat the reference from the first canto?
1848, or
Okay.
plus or minus one verse, I think 48.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, 26th grave, Gambhira, so very deep. Gambhira literally means very deep.
With a B.
Yeah, Gambhira, Gambhira, very deep. So the funny example is that when Brahma was offering prayers, that he was praying and praying. You can see 40 verses, he's praying. Nice prayers. Philosophical and personal, and forgive me, and you're so wonderful, and it's illusion, it's a dream, and you create, you're a person, you love devotees. Every which level he prayed. And Krishna just, was just holding this in the left hand, this fruit yogurt. And Brahma couldn't figure out, is he accepting, is he rejecting?
So it's Krishna's fault we have to read this very long chapter.
Pardon?
So it's Krishna's fault.
The long chapter is 30, that's 87. It's not so long.
Okay.
But if you read, it says if one who reads, all spiritual desires are fulfilled. So if you have any spiritual desires, it's very nice. Okay, great. So this is great.
Krishna Prabhu,
Yes?
may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Prabhu, I was just wondering, how does one balance these two qualities of gravity and actually acknowledging what someone has done? I always find it kind of challenging because I feel like you're just grave and you're internal. Nobody can kind of figure out what's going on. And persons tend to get offended, How do you balance
So
this?
so for devotees, cancel this quality. No need to to practice or manifest. Half. But for that we have quality number 18. Be an expert judge of time and circumstances. So when would you say is a good time to be deep and impenetrable? What's the good time to be deep and impenetrable? No, you look deep and impenetrable right now. It's not a good time to be deep and impenetrable.
You're negotiating something.
Negotiating, okay. Okay, what else? And there's a very good time to be deep and very good time.
When you're alone and studying Shastra.
It can be any which way, but yes, deep is always good, but meaning impenetrable, in that sense, impenetrable, that you can't see, what's going on inside.
When you are surrounded with people whom you don't trust.
If you don't trust, there is an even better moment to be impenetrable, deep and impenetrable. When somebody insults you, all right? Somebody's insulting you, not to show anger, attack back, or all the other things, to delay, right? So that was one devotee's advice for anger management. He says, at least decide beforehand that when you are angry, you will not act. You will not say anything, you will not do anything. If you can't tolerate, just leave. Don't say anything, don't do anything. Anyway, but this was a complaint by Purnachandra Maharaj. He said that he couldn't understand why old, not senior, but old devotees oftentimes act in such a way that they keep a poker face. And he said, "What is this? I say a joke, young devotees laugh. I say something sad, young devotees frown. But old devotees, they just, keep looking at me with a poker face." He said it's not the purpose, because we read that a yogi is not disturbed, not elated, so we think that's how we act. But a devotee is not disturbed not because he keeps a poker face, but because he is deep. In fact, he has a deep heart. So better to, as you say, to always show gratitude. And I think, what was it? Sridhar Maharaj was recommending to always say thank you 7 times when there is something to be thankful for. Yeah. And reflect. And in fact, even if you are attacked in some way, it's probably more healthy to express the problem it's called nonviolent communication, in a non-aggressive, non-attacking way, to say that when you take away my halwa and I'm hungry, I feel somewhat disturbed. 34.5% disturbed. Because sometimes people don't even realize it. There is a disturbance. And Prabhupada once, during his walk on the seashore of the Pacific Ocean, said that why is it Pacific? Because it's deep. So when we are deep, then this will be natural, that we will be brave in a natural way. Is it okay?
Can I tell a story? Just short. Once Prabhupada spoke about this gravity, and there was one joyful devotee who heard the class. He was always laughing, making jokes. And for 3 days, he became very, very serious, looking very grave. And Prabhupada broke his gravity, his seriousness, looking serious in face. What's happening? You spoke about gravity. Well, gravity means that we are serious in our service, not that we give up our nature, joyful nature.
Okay.
Maybe you can better explain. Anyway.
Thank you. Okay. So 27, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied. Self-satisfied, dhritiman.
Man is in mind.
No. Man is just to show that this is a person who's possessing this quality of dhriti. Like in Bhagavan, dhritiman.
This an suffix is
Man, van, several. 27, yes. So Prabhupada says, a person who is fully satisfied in himself without any hankering and who is not agitated. So actually the quality is not being agitated. Even in the presence of serious cause for distress is called self-satisfied. So dhriti, we have a quality called dridham, being Prabhupada somehow translates this frequently as sober, being sober. Although we usually think that being sober means not drunk. But dhira is not really like not drunk. It's Prabhupada translates means that he is always very steady in his mind. Drida.
Isn't grave also sober?
So this is why we are reading these examples, and these are, that's grave and profound, so meaning another translation is profound. It's basically, when we say get serious means think about your long-term goals, basically. The idea is being grave or deep or profound, having a very deep, long-term as in, you know, a goal that is still important for you even after 4 or 5 trillion years.
That's deep.
Yes, that's
That's far out.
that's a deep goal. If you have such a goal, you're deep. Everything else is shallow.
Maybe you are not happy.
But even as you pursue even that deep goal, things may disturb you sometimes. Like, for example, you were waiting for nice chestnuts, hot, warm, nicely baked chestnuts, and they are over-baked and they are completely black. No.
What a surprise!
I'm sorry, it's a local joke here.
What's a joke,
Why are you laughing?
All the jokes are true, you know.
It was so sad.
Like about the policeman, so
Yes.
the jokes are
So
true.
that's, for that, you need another quality. You know, you can think, okay, a trillion years is trillion years, but, you know, nice chestnut is a nice chestnut. So if you are able to keep steady, if you're able to keep steady, then you are a dhira. And here, I think it's a sort of a swap. Self-satisfied is the cause of being dhritimān. Dhritimān meaning that you are able to be dhira if you are self-satisfied. So if you find, and again, for devotees this is even slightly deeper, because for us the self means Krishna das. So therefore self is being satisfied in our service to Krishna. Then even though the chestnuts are black, we can still serve Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anyway, it's again half a joke. Vinata Mataji, do you have a comment?
No, I wanted to ask what is the difference between this 22, which is self-control, and this 27, which is also self-control because being self-satisfied.
Yes, so you can see 22 is Vashi. So you can move you can control your direction, where you are moving. So being deep means you have very deep goals, very long-term goals, very long-term, like at least a few trillion years. Preferably more, because this universe exists for only 311 trillion years. So better to have a quadrillion years goal, right? That goes beyond this universe. Then you're deep. Then Vashi means you are controlling which direction you move from day to day, right? So that's self-control. So therefore you're not under the influence of this or that. And being self-satisfied or dhira or sober means that within one day you are not agitated. Because so you can see they will overlap, intersect. There will be some overlap and intersection between these qualities, but they are going from different sides, different directions. Okay, so this was...
excuse me, the self-satisfaction to me sounds like be happy when you are alone. But if we take that side of the explanation, then it is not possible for that Krishna that he likes to be alone, nor the devotees in Vrindavan. They don't like to be without Krishna, and Krishna don't like to be alone without his devotees, self-satisfied.
Can you please raise your hand before speaking?
If I would know.
There is some function to raise your hand, then we can...
I have to figure out how.
Reactions.
Yeah, in reactions. Okay, thank you. So, Dhritiman is dhira. Then 28, possessing equilibrium. So I must say, this is something that is a quality of most of my heroes from before Krishna consciousness. You know, some kind of Phineas Fogg, who's traveling the world in 80 days, and he is equipoised in whatever situation, or no matter what happens, you're never losing your cool. So in Sanskrit, this is called 28 sama.
Dog holiday.
A person who is unaffected by attachment and envy is said to possess equilibrium. So you have an example of Krishna interacting with even his enemies, Kaliya. What? Now you're trying to remember your heroes?
No.
Okay, 29, magnanimous. Any person who is very charitably disposed is called magnanimous. Magnanimous. Vadanya. This is Krishna, the quality of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Mahavadanyaya. Yeah, every time we offer prasad, we remind Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he is generous.
Don't eat everything.
Yeah, don't eat everything. Hare Krishna. Strangely enough. He's very generous, but yes. 30, religious, which is very strange. Our God is religious.
He's a worshipper.
Well,
He's a worshipper.
a person who personally practices the tenets of religion, as they are enjoined in the Shastras, and who also teaches others the same principles, is called religious.
He's meditating on himself.
Yeah, every morning he meditates. Well, not because he has to think about himself, but because Shastra says meditate on himself. So Prabhupada says, simply professing a kind of faith is not a sign of religiousness. So this 2,000 years old argument between Saint James and Saint Paul, is it by faith or is it by acts? Yeah, that faith without acts is empty, says Saint James, which many claim is the brother of Lord Jesus. So Prabhupada says, not just declare, I am such and such, but also act. One must act according to religious principles. And by his personal example, he should teach others. And it's illustrated by a joke from Narada Muni. Okay, we have another joke here that Krishna says, Narada Muni, your bulls have eaten all the grass of irreligion, Hare Krishna. No irreligion left, because Krishna's bulls have eaten the irreligion. And we have another joke that the demigods' wives were praying for Lord Buddha to appear so that he can stop all the sacrifices. Because all the demigods were distracted. They had to go again and again to a sacrifice. So the wife says, come on, how many? So, all Lord Buddha, please come and stop. And Prabhupada gives his joke that why don't we see the demigods? So Prabhupada says, where are the sacrifices? You don't see the sacrifice, you don't see the demigods, but do you have sacrifices to which you invite demigods? No. So how can you, claim the right to see the demigods?
Wow. This is the first time I heard it.
We should invite them for festivals.
Or on Saturday, you have on Saturday some sacrifice, right? Fire sacrifice. We can invite them with their wives.
So not another Buddha comes.
Okay, so this concludes chapter 21. We still have 34 qualities. So, have you found some of the qualities here from your lists, from your heroes, from your friends, from your personal values, the ones that you like in Krishna? Hare Krishna. Okay, so please don't forget the homework to be able to quickly, within, let's say, 40 seconds, to say 10 thank yous to Krishna.
10 seconds.
40 seconds?
40 seconds.
10 thank yous. 10 seconds, yeah, that's advanced. That's for the Bhaktivedanta level also, yes.
I start when I get that.
Anyway, let's read a few more. 22 qualities of Krishna further explained. Now, this is one of the most famous quality for any hero because it's called heroic. Right? We want a hero to be heroic, normally, right? So he's able to single-handedly defeat, 300 enemies with just a small old PPQ Walter pistol. Yeah, so it's also a hero is very enthusiastic in military activities.
Dharmic military.
How come nowadays hero is more of a philanthropic person?
Fireman.
Like it's somebody who saves someone. Or,
Fireman or
yeah. But here it's explicitly said that he's
military.
fighting.
Well, we haven't had big wars in a long time here, so. But where you have some wars, like a couple days ago, I had some story coming up as a memory that for one day Bridger Walker was awarded the World Boxing Council champion. He was a world champion in super heavyweight, even though he was 6 years old, because he protected his 4-year-old sister from a big dog's attack. There was a German Shepherd dog attacking, and he covered his little sister, right? And he was bitten 90 times. You can see on the picture, his cheek is torn and he's all bruised and cut. But he's smiling because he says, I'm a big brother, I have to protect. So that's very, very... Yeah, 6 years old. So Mike Tyson gave him the belt of the super heavyweight. And this World Boxing Council has even created a special weight category. They decided to create a new category, not for him, but in his name. So we still admire such things whenever. But even firefighters, they protect someone from some danger. That's okay. And 32 is compassionate. So in Sanskrit, this is... So the Sanskrit for hero is Shura, brave. Is another translation. So these firefighters, they're brave. Yeah. Still, and Karuna is compassion. So a person who is... So this is a classic definition. Unable to bear another's distress. Yeah, not that you... just feel that, maybe it would be good, but in Latin, compassion. Passion means suffer, come together. You suffer for others' suffering. As one of the qualities of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava is para dukkha dukhi. Yeah, somebody else is suffering and you suffer for that. Para dukkha dukhi. So that's a Vaishnava. So here we have the example of how Krishna went to save 20,800 kings imprisoned by Jarasandha. Bhishma Dev, how Krishna was crying to see Bhishma Dev. And coming to give glory to Bhishma Dev. But also you can see here is beautiful few lines from Srila Prabhupada to glorify Srimati Radharani. Yes? So Prabhupada says, instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisances to his compassionate nature. Actually, because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is very difficult to approach him. But the devotees, taking advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by Radharani, always pray to Radharani for Krishna's compassion. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. So this is coming from Srila Prabhupada. It's not nobody else. You can see he brings this up. It's coming directly from Srila Prabhupada. And sometimes he quotes directly. This is Vrindavan. He says, I was in Vrindavan from time to time, somebody would come, knock on the window, say Jai Radhe, I would say Jai Radhe. And sometimes we think that Prabhupada never ever spoke the name of Radharani. So we should not take it cheaply. But no, Srila Prabhupada, you can see, he's really very Radha conscious. He's very Radha conscious, Radharani conscious.
Always.
Huh?
It says always pray.
Always pray, yes. Well, half of our Mahamantra is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay, thank you very much. So please remember about being thankful, about always praying to Srimati Radharani, about, okay, Avadhuta Rai has a raised hand. I asked him to raise it. Okay, let's take one more comment or question from Avadhuta Rai, and then that will be it. Avadhuta Rai Prabhu, please, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. When you spoke about heroic Krishna, it seems to me that sometimes he does not display that quality because for example, he was running away from Kalyavana, but we cannot say that he is fearful from his opponent. And how do you explain?
Yes? That's a comment or a question?
Well, a kind of question, if you like to comment or explain. Sometimes he is acting contradictory to that quality, for example, of heroic, of being heroic. Anyway.
Which quality did Krishna illustrate in his dealing with Kalyavana?
Perfect judge of time, place, and circumstances.
That's there, but there's another one.
Fulfilling many purposes in one.
So Buddhiman, being able to very cleverly and intelligently fulfill many purposes or achieve many purposes, because he didn't want to fight or even touch Kalyavana, because that was against the Kshatriya code. So that's why he didn't want to. But he gave Kalyavana a chance. He said, if you touch me, you win. I will not fight with you, but if you touch me, you win. And so there was no cowardice on his side. Okay, so thank you very much. And we continue on Thursday, 4:30 Central European Time. Thank you very much. Please review your qualities and see you on Thursday. Hare Krishna.
Sounds very depressing.
Now qualities.